The political climate in Dolton, Illinois, has become increasingly tense, especially with the ongoing re-election campaign of Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Since taking office in 2021, Henyard has faced significant backlash for a variety of controversies, including allegations of financial mismanagement, voter suppression, and questionable appointments that have divided the community. These issues have led to a growing sense of mistrust between Henyard and the residents, and her decision to hold a $50 admission fundraiser has only intensified the debate surrounding her leadership. The announcement of the re-election event, which was made without revealing the identity of the new board members supporting Henyard, has raised questions about the true motivations behind the move. Henyard, who is currently under FBI investigation, has teased that this upcoming announcement will lead to the arrest of some of her political opponents, a statement that has added further intrigue and controversy to the situation. Critics argue that the high fundraising cost, especially in a town already suffering financially, may be an attempt to consolidate power and address financial gaps in her campaign, rather than focus on the real concerns of Dolton's residents. Henyard's administration has been plagued by allegations of financial mismanagement, with many pointed accusations of embezzlement of public funds and the misuse of town resources. In this light, the $50 entrance fee for the re-election event is seen by some as a desperate attempt to cover financial shortfalls while also distancing herself from the growing public dissatisfaction. Critics argue that the fundraiser, rather than being a genuine effort to engage with the community, represents a shift towards spectacle and fundraising in modern politics, which prioritizes financial backing over addressing the town's most pressing issues. A decision to charge such a high fee has only exacerbated the perception that Henyard's leadership style is more concerned with securing her re-election than with resolving the legitimate concerns of Dolton's residents. Many feel that Henyard's focus on fundraising reflects a broader trend in politics, where loyalty to a political figure is measured by one's ability to contribute financially rather than engaging in meaningful dialogue about the issues affecting the community. In Dolton, where crime rates are high and residents are struggling with financial difficulties, the $50 admission fee is seen as both an exclusionary move and a sign of a leader more interested in securing donations than in ensuring transparency or inclusivity, while Henyard and her supporters defend the re-election event as evidence of her political strength. Others argue that it reflects her growing detachment from the needs of the community. The event, which would have typically been a simple gathering to rally support, has now become a symbol of the divide between her supporters and detractors. Some see Henyard as a leader who has overcome adversity and deserves another chance to lead, while others view her as a failure who has put her personal ambition ahead of the welfare of the community amidst these controversies. Henyard's re-election campaign has become less about progress and more about holding on to power. The high-profile fundraising event is viewed by many as an attempt to secure the loyalty of her base, who are more likely to be able to afford the $50 ticket, while alienating the broader population. This divide has only deepened the political rift in Dolton, with many questioning whether Henyard's leadership is truly focused on the needs of town, or if it is more about maintaining control and financial support at the expense of the community. Henyard's critics argue that her administration has been marked by a series of missteps that have eroded public trust. In addition to the financial controversies, she has been accused of using the local police force to intimidate political opponents and putting private interests ahead of the public good. Many of her former allies have publicly distanced themselves from her, citing a growing frustration with her leadership style and the way she has used her position to further personal goals at the expense of Dolton's health and well-being. The growing discontent with Henyard's leadership has shifted the focus of her re-election campaign away from her accomplishments and onto the scandals that have defined her time in office. The situation in Dolton has become a high-stakes political drama, with the outcome of the election potentially marking a turning point for the town's future. The election results will not only determine Henyard's political fate, but could also have long-lasting implications for Dolton's political trajectory, especially given the town's financial difficulties and the deepening divide between its residents. Many Dolton residents are now asking whether they should value transparency, accountability, and integrity in their leadership, or they're willing to accept a style of governance that prioritizes loyalty and financial backing over addressing the town's pressing issues. The outcome of Henyard's re-election bid could set the tone for future political dynamics in Dolton and similar small towns, where resources are limited and the stakes are extremely high. Henyard's re-election event has become a focal point in the ongoing debate about her leadership. The decision to proceed with such an expensive fundraiser, despite the growing criticism and dissatisfaction with her administration, highlights her defiance in the face of adversity. To her supporters, this is a sign of political strength and perseverance. They argue that her ability to weather the storm of public criticism and continue pushing for re-election demonstrates her resolve to move Dolton forward. Despite the obstacles in her path, however, for many in Dolton, The fundraiser is a reminder of Henyard's priorities, which seem increasingly disconnected from the needs of the community. In a town already struggling with financial hardships, high crime rates, and political instability, the $50 ticket price is seen as a glaring example of how Henyard's leadership has become more about consolidating power and securing financial backing than about addressing the real issues facing Dolton's residents as Henyard continues her re-election campaign. It is clear that the town is deeply divided. On one hand, her supporters see her as a leader who has stood up to adversity and deserves another chance to lead. On the other hand, her critics view her as a leader who has failed to address the town's most pressing problems and has become more concerned with securing her own political future than with improving the lives of Dolton citizens. The stakes of this election are incredibly high for Dolton, as it will determine not only Henyard's political future, but also the direction the town will take in the coming years. The growing divide between Henyard supporters and detractors reflects broader questions about governance, accountability, and the role of money in politics. In a town like Dolton, where resources are scarce and the political climate is fraught with tension, the choices voters make in the coming months will have long-lasting consequences for the town's future as the re-election campaign moves forward. Dolton residents will need to carefully consider what kind of leadership they want for their community. Do they prioritize a leader who has shown resilience and determination despite widespread criticism, or do they seek a leader who is committed to transparency, accountability, and addressing the real issues facing the town? The outcome of this election could have far-reaching implications for Dolton and other small towns, as the balance between political loyalty, financial support, and community well-being continues to shape the future of local governance. In conclusion, Henyard's re-election bid in Dolton serves as a microcosm of the larger debates and challenges facing modern politics, where the intersection of power, money, and loyalty often determines the direction of a community. As Henyard continues her campaign, the residents of Dolton are left to weigh the cost of political survival against the true needs of the town as Tiffany Henyard continues her re-election campaign for mayor of Dolton, Illinois. The town's political climate has become increasingly polarized. Despite mounting controversies, including federal investigations into financial mismanagement, Henyard remains resolute in her determination to retain her position. Her decision to host a campaign launch party has been interpreted by some as a demonstration of confidence, while others view it as a disengaged political gesture that fails to address the urgent concerns of Dolton's residents. Many residents of Dolton, already facing financial hardship, have grown disillusioned with Henyard's leadership. Critics argue that Henyard's focus has been more on political showmanship than on tackling the real problems facing the town, such as financial mismanagement and transparency. Her continued presence at the helm has deepened divisions within the community, with some supporters praising her poise and tenacity, while others accuse her of dodging criticism rather than confronting it head-on. Henyard's decision to run for re-election is seen by many as an attempt to assert her political strength in a time of great uncertainty. However, this move has only amplified the growing skepticism about her leadership and the direction in which she is taking the town. While her supporters view her determination as a sign of her commitment to Dolton, her detractors see it as an indication of her unwillingness to acknowledge the serious flaws in her administration. The town is now facing a critical juncture, as the outcome of Henyard's re-election bid will not only determine her political future, but also have long-lasting implications for Dolton's governance. Many believe that Henyard's leadership has been marked by scandal, poor decisions, and a growing disconnect from the needs of the community. Despite the serious legal and financial obstacles she faces, Henyard's refusal to step down has become a symbol of her determination to hold on to power. No matter the cost adding to the controversy is the growing federal investigation into Henyard's alleged misuse of public funds. The investigation focuses on claims that Henyard embezzled money for personal gain, including spending taxpayer dollars on luxury hotel stays, upscale dining, and personal shopping sprees on Amazon. These allegations have raised questions about Henyard's ability to responsibly manage Dolton's finances, especially considering the town's already precarious financial state. In addition to the federal investigation, Henyard is also embroiled in an eviction case for failing to pay rent on her home. The case has drawn attention due to the timing. Henyard, who is facing accusations of embezzlement, has reportedly not paid rent since August. The situation became public when her landlord, Janetta H., revealed that Henyard had even changed the locks on the property to prevent anyone from entering. This development has only deepened perception that Henyard is more concerned with maintaining her political position than with addressing the financial challenges facing the town. Henyard's response to the accusations has been to deflect blame, offering little in the way of concrete evidence or defenses during a 90-minute Facebook Live session. Instead of addressing the issues head-on, Henyard used the platform to attack her political opponents, accusing them of being unwilling to support her in the face of adversity. This has further fueled public mistrust, as many feel that Henyard is using her position to avoid accountability rather than confront the real issues at hand despite these controversies. Henyard remains steadfast in her bid for re-election, employing every political tactic available to her in order to retain her hold on power. This has included threatening to have her political opponents arrested, a move that has made many uncomfortable and increased the atmosphere of distrust surrounding her campaign. Her actions, such as her refusal to provide transparency regarding the ongoing investigations, have only served to deepen the division within the town. Henyard's re-election campaign is now seen by many as an effort to preserve her political future at any cost. While some continue to defend her perseverance, arguing that her determination is a sign of strength, others view her as a leader willing to do anything to maintain power, regardless of the damage it causes to Dolton's future. The ongoing debate over her leadership reflects the larger issues of governance, accountability, and transparency that have plagued Dolton under her administration. As the election approaches, the town's residents remain deeply divided over Henyard's leadership. Some defend her as a figure who has faced adversity with courage and strength, while others argue that she has become a symbol of failed governance. The growing public dissatisfaction, fueled by her controversial actions and the federal investigation, suggests that Dolton may be at a crossroads. The upcoming election will not only decide Henyard's future, but will also determine the direction of the town for years to come in the midst of these controversies. Henyard's re-election bid highlights the challenges faced by small towns like Dolton, where financial difficulties, political instability, and public mistrust create a volatile environment. The outcome of this election will send a powerful message about the values that Dolton's residents hold dear, whether they prioritize transparency, accountability, and responsible leadership, or whether they are willing to accept a leader who prioritizes political survival over the welfare of the community. As the town continues to grapple with the ramifications of Henyard's leadership, the stakes of the upcoming election are higher than ever. The result will not only reflect Henyard's leadership style, but will also serve as a referendum on how Dolton handles the complex issues of governance, accountability, and the role of money in politics. Dolton, Illinois, stands at a critical crossroads as its residents are increasingly divided over the future of their town under Mayor Tiffany Henyard's leadership. The growing financial troubles and an ever-expanding list of scandals surrounding Henyard's tenure have left many questioning her ability to continue leading. Allegations of corruption, financial mismanagement, and misuse of public resources have intensified, drawing both fervent defenders and vocal critics. Henyard's re-election campaign, despite the controversies, has become the focal point of a town struggling to reconcile its troubled past with the promise of future recovery. Henyard's leadership has been marred by accusations of corruption and authoritarian behavior, as well as claims that she has misused her position for personal gain. One of the most alarming allegations involves former Dolton Police Chief Robert Collins, who claims that the police department was used for Henyard's personal benefit. According to Collins, officers were allegedly assigned to personal tasks such as running errands, picking up her daughter from school, shopping, and providing security during her personal activities. This misuse of public resources reportedly led to over $1 million in overtime pay for officers, fueling concerns about Henyard's disregard for taxpayer money and further tarnishing her public image. The situation has worsened with additional claims that Henyard used her position to intimidate political opponents and engage in political targeting. Collins, who was fired by Henyard, accused the mayor of instructing him to harass specific individuals. This has only added to a growing narrative that Henyard has abused her power to serve her personal interests at the expense of the town's well-being. These allegations of coercion, intimidation, and corruption have further fractured the community, leaving many residents wondering whether Henyard's leadership is serving their best interests. The ongoing federal investigation into Henyard's financial dealings has only heightened the climate of distrust. Reports allege that Henyard used public funds for personal luxuries, including a staggering $443,000 shopping spree on Amazon, upscale dining, travel, and stays at luxury hotels. These revelations have left many questioning whether Henyard has been acting in the best interests of Dolton, or she has been using her position to enrich herself at the expense of the town's residents. Critics argue that such extravagant spending in the face of Dolton's financial struggles paints a clear picture of a leader disconnected from the realities facing the people she is supposed to serve. Adding to the controversy is Henyard's own personal financial troubles. She is currently involved in an eviction case for failing to pay rent on her home, a situation that became public when her landlord, Janetta H., revealed that Henyard had not paid rent for several months and had even changed the locks on the property to avoid eviction. This has further compounded concerns about Henyard's financial management, both in her personal life and as mayor of Dolton. For many, the optics of her failing to pay rent while simultaneously overseeing a town with severe financial difficulties are troubling, and have only added fuel to the fire of criticism surrounding her leadership. Despite these mounting controversies, Henyard remains defiant in her bid for re-election. Her supporters claim that the allegations against her are politically motivated attacks designed to undermine her leadership and reputation. They argue that she is a dedicated public servant who has faced immense challenges and has been unfairly targeted by political opponents. For her supporters, Henyard's perseverance in the face of these challenges is seen as evidence of her commitment to Dolton, and they continue to back her as the leader who can guide the town through its difficulties. However, the timing of her re-election campaign has only deepened skepticism. Many residents view her push for re-election as a desperate attempt to cling to power in the face of growing opposition and a string of legal challenges. Henyard's decision to host a high-profile campaign celebration with a $50 admission fee has drawn significant criticism, especially in a town where many residents are struggling financially. Critics argue that the high cost of attending the celebration reflect Henyard's detachment from the economic hardships facing Dolton's residents, and it raises questions about her priorities as a leader. Some see the admission fee as an attempt to divert attention away from her growing list of scandals and distract from the financial mismanagement that has characterized her administration. The $50 entrance fee has sparked outrage among many Dolton residents, who see it as insensitive and out of touch with their struggles. For many, the decision to charge her admission to a campaign event while the town faces financial hardship further underscores a perception that Henyard is more concerned with securing her own political future than with addressing the pressing issues of the community. Critics argue that the mayor's actions, including her extravagant spending and the alleged misuse of public resources, have only deepened the divide between Henyard and the residents of Dolton, further eroding the trust that is essential for effective leadership. At the heart of the debate is the town's ongoing financial difficulties. Henyard's administration has been accused of mismanaging the town's budget, and many residents are frustrated by the lack of transparency and accountability regarding the allocation of public funds. As Dolton faces significant financial challenges, residents are questioning whether Henyard is the right leader to guide the town toward recovery. With each new scandal and revelation, Henyard's re-election bid becomes less about a vision for Dolton's future and more about her determination to hold on to power. Even as the town grapples with the fallout from her leadership as the election draws nearer, Dolton finds itself at a critical juncture. The town is deeply divided, with residents torn between those who still support Henyard and those who believe it is time for a change. The growing dissatisfaction with her leadership has led many to question whether she is capable of addressing the financial difficulties and moral issues that have plagued Dolton under her administration. While Henyard's supporters continue to defend her as a leader who has weathered countless challenges, her critics argue that her time in office has been marked by scandal, mismanagement, and a lack of accountability. The upcoming election will serve as a referendum on Henyard's leadership, with a choice between maintaining the status quo and embracing a new direction for Dolton. The stakes are incredibly high, as the outcome of the election will not only determine Henyard's political future, but also shape the town's trajectory for years to come. Will Dolton continue under Henyard's leadership, or will the town finally turn the page on a controversial chapter in its history for many residents? The decision is clear. They are calling for change. The financial mismanagement, the growing sense of dissatisfaction, and the ethical concerns surrounding Henyard's administration have left many disillusioned with her leadership. The upcoming election represents a critical opportunity to choose a leader who can address the town's pressing issues and restore trust in local government. As the election approaches, Dolton finds itself at crossroads. The decision will have long-lasting implications for the town's future, and residents are feeling the weight of the moment. Will Henyard's leadership be reaffirmed, or will Dolton elect a new leader capable of tackling the town's financial difficulties and moral challenges head-on? The outcome is uncertain, but one thing is clear. The residents of Dolton are facing a crucial decision about the future of their town.